only know
Your WavyOcho, I'm gonna react to the curious case of Nia Jax, you feel me?
December 12th, 2018 episode of WWE Raw, the women of WWE SmackDown attacked the women of Raw in the build-up to that year's Survivor Series event, and while everyone
Nah, Nia Jax got a Nia Jax got a strong, bro. Punched she punched Nia. I mean, she punched Becky Lynch. Fucked up Becky Lynch face up. I ain't gonna lie, she fucked up the match. Nia Jax the reason why you know Becky Becky Lynch and Rousey wasn't like got canceled. It was Charlotte Flair and Rousey. You feel me?
walked away from the
fight unscathed, Becky Lynch walked away looking like this. And this was due to Nia Jax botching a punch and genuinely busting open Becky Lynch and concussing her.
I'm pretty sure it was an accident, bro. I'm pretty sure it was an accident, though. I'm pretty sure she didn't mean to do that.
getting her man
That was that. Nah, that was a vicious punch. I ain't gonna lie. That punch was OD.
with Ronda Rousey.
Rousey at Survivor Series cancelled. And while this moment would go down in history and send Becky Lynch into superstardom, it would also turn Nia Jax into one of the most hated wrestlers in WWE history. As a member of the Anoa'i family and a cousin of The Rock, Nia Jax was signed by the WWE in early 2014 and sent to NXT. She made her in-ring debut on May 7th, 2015, actually under a different name of Zayda, and she would begin to work the house show circuit for NXT. She would wrestle under the name Zayda for a bit of time before she was eventually renamed to what we would all come to know her as Nia Jax. And vignettes would begin to air on NXT TV, hyping up the debut of one Nia Jax, and she would eventually make her televised NXT debut on October 14th, 2015, squashing a wrestler named Evie. I wonder what she went on to do. And Jax would cement herself as one of the top heel women in the NXT women's division, and built herself all the way up to a program with then fan favorite and NXT women's champion Bayley, who she challenged for the title at NXT TakeOver London 2015 for her first singles loss in NXT, in a very good match though. But this loss did not hinder Nia Jax whatsoever. She still stayed busy on NXT. She had a little alliance with Eva Marie going at one point. She would continue to be dominant and one of the top heels in the women's division, and she would get into a program with the new women's champion Asuka, where they faced each other at NXT TakeOver The End in yet another awesome match for Nia Jax, and once again she was unsuccessful, but she had had a great NXT run. And after about 2 years in NXT and not much else left to do, Nia Jax would be called up to Raw as part of the 2016 draft for the revived brand split, and she would debut on Raw in July 2016, squashing a local talent called Britt Baker. I wonder what happened to her. And just like
She's in AEW as we speak.
in NXT, she would
go on a dominant singles win streak, starting off by squashing a bunch of local talent.
You see, I don't think Nia Jax, feel me? I don't think Nia Jax is a bad wrestler. I never thought Nia Jax was a bad wrestler. You feel me? You know, she at times she was booked as a most dominant female wrestler, like most like monster female wrestler. You feel me? Yeah, I mean, I understand, like, you know, yeah, she has her like fuck ups and shit where she like, botch, like hurt like other wrestlers and shit, but I don't think she's a bad wrestler. I never thought she was a bad wrestler, in my opinion, bro.
week by week.
Before she got her first pay-per-view match with Alicia Fox, which she won, Nia Jax would continue her win streak all the way into 2017, when she would enter her first major feud, starting a feud with former women's champion Sasha Banks, and this would lead to Nia Jax's first singles loss on the main roster, as she faced Bayley in a #1 contenders match on the first Raw of 2017, which Sasha Banks would distract Nia in to help Bayley get the win. But Nia Jax would exact her revenge on Sasha Banks when she defeated her at the Royal Rumble for her biggest win in her career thus far, but an even bigger win would come when soon after she would pin the now Women's Champion Bayley clean to add herself to the Raw Women's title match at WrestleMania 33, a match that she was unsuccessful in and the first eliminated in, but in a match with Bayley, Charlotte and Sasha Banks, she had established herself as one of the top names in the women's division in the WWE. She would spend the rest of 2017 pretty much just being the muscle for new roster addition for Raw and new Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss. And she wouldn't be too active in title competition due to this alliance she had going with Bliss for the rest of the year. And after a pretty quiet year all in all in 2017, we would enter into 2018 where she probably had the maddest year of her career. She entered the inaugural Women's Royal Rumble where she scored 4 eliminations and lasted 18 minutes and one of the top performers of the match. And she would enter into a feud with Asuka once again on the main roster now, and Asuka would kind of destroy her in this feud, first beating her at Elimination Chamber and also on Raw, but both of the matches were really good, and it was these matches that would plant the seeds for the alliance between Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax to go into turmoil. Alexa Bliss would be caught on camera talking nasty about Nia Jax, and this would end up causing Nia Jax to turn into an inspirational babyface, and we would see a storyline between her and Alexa Bliss heading into WrestleMania 34 for the Raw Women's Championship. And we would get to see Nia Jax get the win in the biggest match of her career on the biggest stage and win the Raw Women's Championship, her first title in WWE. She even got a "You Deserve It" chant on Raw the next night. Yes, the same year that the incident happened, she got a "You Deserve It" chant for winning the title. Unfortunately though, Nia Jax's Raw Women's title reign would end up not being too impressive, and she would lose it only after about 2 months. She first defended against Alexa Bliss at Backlash once again, and then she got into a match with Ronda Rousey at Money in the Bank, which ended up being an absolute banger.
That's a fact, bro. I like the match though. The match between Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax was valid though. I'm not gonna lie. Give Nia Jax her credit, bro. She performed really well against Rousey, bro.
We had no expectations
for ended up being really good, but it was interrupted by Money in the Bank winner and former champion Alexa Bliss once again, who cashed in and then won the title from Nia. Kind of making that entire storyline between the two leading up to WrestleMania all completely pointless. Nia Jax would fail to regain the title from Alexa Bliss in an Extreme Rules match at Extreme Rules next month, and then from there, the rest of 2018 was even more eventful somehow. She competed at Evolution, the first WWE All-Women's pay-per-view where she won a Battle Royal to earn a future title match, but before we could get there, it was time to build up for Survivor Series. And at that year's Survivor Series, we were building up to seeing Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, SmackDown Women's Champion versus Raw Women's Champion. But as I stated in the intro, and as I told that story in the intro, which I'm not going to tell in detail again, Becky Lynch was punched in the face by Nia Jax for real in a botched move that concussed her, busted her open, and cancelled her match with Ronda Rousey at Survivor.
Boca shit, bro. Nah. Look at that blood, bro. She punched her shit, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Punched her shit real good.
series, which
really annoyed WWE fans because this was such a hyped match and we were at the
Nia Jax fucked up that the match between Rousey and Lynch, bro. Like everybody want to see that match, Becky and Ronda match, bro. But we never got it. And we never will gonna get the one-on-one match between Lynch and Rousey, bro. The most we got was a triple threat with Charlotte, Lynch, and Rousey, which ended up being a disappointing match in my opinion.
Peak of Becky Lynch's rise in popularity. And I'll say it again, people were really angry at Nia Jax here, and because of this, they started calling into question whether she was a safe wrestler and started bringing up past incidents involving Nia Jax, citing the time she injured Zelina Vega in the Evolution Women's Battle Royal, citing the time Bayley got her shoulder dislocated in a time against Nia Jax, and a match against Charlotte Flair where she dropped her on her head and failed to catch her on a moonsault to the outside. And fans were calling her to be sent back to NXT or even fired. But instead, WWE would capitalize on all this heat and turn Nia Jax back heel and position her as the top heel woman in the company. Nia Jax would be the sole survivor at that year's Survivor Series 5v5 tag match, much to the chagrin of all the fans, and she would get her title match as promised by winning the Evolution Battle Royal against Ronda Rousey at that year's TLC pay-per-view, and people were having low expectations for this match once again, but once again, these two delivered and had a really solid match, Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey. Even more craziness would take place next month at the Royal Rumble in 2019, when Nia Jax became the first person to enter 2 Rumbles in one night. She first entered at number 29 in the Women's Royal Rumble, where she came 3rd, and then she came out at number 30 in the Men's Royal Rumble, where she even got an elimination on Mustafa Ali before she was super kicked, 619'd and RKO'd and eliminated. By the way, Nia Jax entering the Men's Royal Rumble, hands down one of my favorite moments in wrestling history, not even lying. The next night on Raw, she even confronted Dean Ambrose, and they started advertising her and Ambrose having a match on a house show. However, that would never come about, and any plans for a feud between them was cancelled because, yes, they actually considered that. Nia Jax and Tamina would compete for the women's tag team titles in an elimination chamber the next month, which they did lose, and then also at WrestleMania 35 in a 4-way women's tag title match, which they were also unsuccessful in. However, Nia Jax after this would be out for over a year, and this was due to tearing both of her ACLs. She would return to Raw during the pandemic in April, where she squashed Deonna Purrazzo. I wonder what she went on to do, and she competed in that crazy cinematic Money in the Bank match, which was won by Asuka. A match that ended up actually being for the women's title, meaning Asuka was the new champion, and Nia Jax would get into a feud with Asuka, which would also see her face Kairi Sane in a couple matches on Raw, which would also see fans call into question her safety again when Kairi was hurt in a spot involving the steel steps. Nia Jax obviously did not beat Asuka for the women's title, as Asuka just apparently absolutely owns Nia Jax, and she would then get into a program with Shayna Baszler. A program which saw the two never have a proper match with a proper finish, as they would end up having to start coexisting, and they formed a tag team and would win the women's tag team titles when they defeated Sasha and Bayley at the Payback pay-per-view in 2020. And they'd successfully retained them against the likes of Sasha and Bayley, the Riot Squad, Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce, Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, and it was also during this reign that Nia Jax would put Lana through like 12 tables week after week after week. They would lose the titles at TLC that year to Charlotte and Asuka, but they would win them back the next month at the Royal Rumble, and they would retain them at WrestleMania against Natalya and Tamina as well. But while they defeated Natalya and Tamina at WrestleMania, they would eventually drop them to Natalya and Tamina on the May 14th, 2021 edition of SmackDown. And then Nia Jax wouldn't really go on to do much following this. She got into a shoot fight with Charlotte during one of their matches, and she had a match with Shayna Baszler after the team broke up, which would end up being Nia Jax's last WWE match in a long while. Because not too long after that match, and while she was off TV, she was released from her WWE contract along with many others during the pandemic budget cuts. And it was very, very unexpected seeing Nia Jax get released just like that, considering she had 2 women's tag title reigns, having held the belts just that year, and of course she was a former Raw Women's Champion and one of the top names in the women's division. Whether you liked her or not, it was very unexpected to see her get released just like that. And she was released while she was on a break from wrestling, and while no reason has ever really been revealed properly as to why she was released, obviously the reason she was given was budget cuts, it's been speculated that she was released due to her vaccination status, which I believe still hasn't really been verified. It's still pretty unknown why she got released, but that's always kind of been the reason given. But regardless, WWE would bring Nia Jax back for one last match as she returned in the 2023 Women's Royal Rumble match as the 30th entrant, and it took 11 women to eliminate her from the match, and apparently she is now in training for wrestling again, with WWE interested in signing her back and talks of a possible Nia Jax return. And as one of the very rare few who was in the Nia Jax hype and an actual fan of Nia Jax, I genuinely like Nia Jax, I am happy.
So yeah, bro, that's the whole feel me, like yeah, like I said, bro, Nia Jax, she's not a bad wrestler, bro. She's not a bad wrestler. Like for a woman her size, she's not a bad wrestler, bro. She had some good matches, like with Ronda Rousey, Sasha Banks, Bailey, all that. You feel me? Um. So yeah, man. Even though like she fucks up, like she injured people. I don't think like she did that on purpose, bro. She did it on accident, bro. Like it was an accident. Like I don't think she intentionally tried to like hurt these women, bro. So yeah, bro. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the vibes. We're just checking out you are.